The end of the world may not stop at Earth. If World War III begins, its fire could reach far beyond our planet, tearing through the skies, poisoning space, and leaving a scar the universe would carry for eternity. Imagine Earth glowing like a dying star, its atmosphere shattered, satellites burning, and cosmic silence replacing life as we know it. This isn't just a war between nations. This is a war that could change the universe forever. Welcome to Starsky Science, the place where we uncover the deepest mysteries of the cosmos. Before we begin this extraordinary exploration, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the stories that connect humanity with the universe. Scientists have long debated how much of Earth's destruction could ripple into space. The answer may shock you. A full-scale nuclear war, often referred to as World War III, would unleash forces strong enough to alter not only our planet's climate, but its relationship with the stars above. Nuclear firestorms would pump billions of tons of soot into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and creating what experts call a nuclear winter. But this darkness would not be limited to Earth alone. It would be visible from orbit, detectable by satellites, and would even change the way our planet reflects light back into the universe. To any alien civilization watching, Earth would suddenly look like a dying world. And this is just the beginning. The terrifying truth about modern warfare is that it is no longer limited to battlefields, soldiers, or even cities. Today, war has extended its reach into the skies above us, into the satellites, communication systems, and orbital platforms that silently guard our planet. If a global conflict like World War III erupts, it will not only unleash chaos on Earth, but also transform the very environment of space itself. Most people imagine nuclear explosions only in terms of mushroom clouds and radiation zones, but scientists from NASA and other agencies warn us of something far greater: the cosmic consequences of nuclear war. Nuclear detonations release not just deadly radiation but massive electromagnetic pulses, or EMPs. These invisible waves have the power to fry satellites orbiting Earth, shut down communication systems, and plunge the world into a digital silence unlike anything humanity has ever experienced. Imagine GPS navigation collapsing overnight, weather forecasting disappearing, financial systems freezing, and global communications being reduced to nothing but static. Satellites are not just tools of convenience, they are the nervous system of modern civilization. Yet, in a global war, they would be the first targets. A single anti-satellite weapon, or a SAT, can transform a satellite into thousands of pieces of high-speed debris. Each fragment, no bigger than a coin, moves at speeds faster than a bullet, capable of piercing spacecraft, destroying telescopes, and even threatening the lives of astronauts aboard the International Space Station. In a World War III scenario, multiple nations could fire a SAT weapon simultaneously, creating what scientists fear the most: the Kessler syndrome. The Kessler syndrome is a chain reaction of destruction, where one destroyed satellite creates debris, which then hits another satellite, producing more debris, and so on. Within hours, Earth's orbit could transform from a silent highway of satellites into a minefield of deadly shards. Once this chain begins, it could trap humanity on Earth for centuries, because launching rockets through the debris belt would become almost impossible. If we lose our access to space, we lose our ability to explore, to colonize, to reach beyond. World War III, in essence, could lock the door to the stars. And then there's the atmosphere. Nuclear firestorms on Earth would eject millions of tons of soot into the stratosphere. This nuclear winter would darken the skies, block sunlight, and plunge temperatures across the globe. Crops would fail, ecosystems would collapse, and billions could starve. But the effects don't stop here. Scientists warn that this soot, carried high into the atmosphere, could drift into the upper layers and interfere with Earth's ionosphere, the very shield that protects our planet from harmful cosmic radiation. With the ionosphere disrupted, Earth would be bombarded with higher levels of radiation from space, damaging DNA, mutating cells, and accelerating the extinction of species. Now, pause for a second and imagine this: Earth itself glowing faintly under a shroud of smoke, orbiting silently in the blackness of space. To any distant alien civilization watching through their telescopes, our once bright blue planet would look dim, wounded, almost dead. World War III wouldn't just be the fall of humanity. It would be a cosmic signal, a warning to the universe that intelligent life had turned on itself and destroyed its only home. Before I continue, this is your host from Starsky Science. And if you're captivated by this exploration of how war on Earth could reshape the cosmos, make sure to hit subscribe right now. It helps us bring you more deep, fact-based space documentaries that you won't find anywhere else. Don't forget, our future among the stars depends on knowledge. Subscribe and be part of this mission. But let's go even deeper. What happens to the moon in this apocalyptic war? Many don't realize that the moon plays a vital role in keeping Earth stable. Its gravitational pull controls tides, balances our planet's tilt, and keeps seasons predictable. In a World War III scenario, if nuclear weapons or massive strikes cause significant atmospheric and magnetic disruption, the delicate Earth-Moon system could be affected. Tidal patterns might shift violently, coastlines could flood unpredictably, and ocean currents, the heartbeat of our climate, might collapse. This would not just change weather on Earth but also influence long-term climate cycles, throwing the planet into chaos for millennia. And yet, the moon might not escape direct human aggression. Military planners have long speculated about the possibility of militarizing the moon. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union considered plans to detonate nuclear weapons on or near the moon's surface, either to demonstrate power or to test weapons in space. If World War III breaks out, the moon could once again become a target. A nuclear detonation on the moon wouldn't cause a mushroom cloud like on Earth, but it would blast material into space, potentially shifting lunar dust into new orbits around Earth, forming dangerous new debris rings. Imagine future astronauts looking up at a scarred, glowing crater on the moon, not from natural impact but from human war. The destruction wouldn't stop at Earth and the moon. Mars, the planet we dream of colonizing, could also be affected. If nuclear war ends space programs and traps us on Earth, humanity's dream of building a second home on Mars vanishes. Elon Musk and NASA's plans for Mars colonization depend on stable infrastructure, advanced rockets, and global cooperation. A war would erase that cooperation, collapse budgets, and kill the dream. Mars would remain untouched, but not because we chose peace, because we destroyed ourselves before we ever got there. NASA scientists often remind us, when we look at other planets like Venus, we see what happens when a planet's balance collapses. Venus is a hellish world with an atmosphere thick with carbon dioxide and temperatures hot enough to melt lead. Some researchers believe Earth, after a nuclear war, could tilt toward a similar fate. Its climate destabilized, its oceans poisoned, and its skies forever scarred. And there is another terrifying layer: black carbon. After nuclear explosions, smoke from burning cities contains black carbon particles that rise into the upper atmosphere and linger for decades. These particles absorb sunlight, heating the stratosphere but cooling Earth's surface. The result? The destruction of the ozone layer. Without ozone, Earth becomes vulnerable to deadly ultraviolet radiation. Crops would be annihilated not only by cold but also by intense UV rays, making survival nearly impossible. In essence, World War III could erase the shield that has protected life for billions of years. Scientists from the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists have long warned us of the doomsday clock, a symbolic countdown to humanity's self-destruction. But if war breaks out, that clock doesn't just strike midnight for humanity. It strikes for the universe's knowledge of us. Because once we vanish, so does our music, our art, our discoveries, our exploration of the stars. The silence that follows would be eternal. And yet, what makes this truly haunting is that humanity holds the power of choice. We stand at a point in history where technology could either elevate us to a multiplanetary species or destroy us in one final act of madness. NASA astrophysicists like Dr. Carl Sagan before them have urged leaders to understand that the cosmos is watching. Every decision we make sends ripples outward. Every nuclear test, every weapon built, is not just a threat to our planet, but a scar written into the history of the universe. War is not only about weapons, it's about energy. Hidden within our planet is a delicate balance of magnetic forces, a protective shield known as the magnetosphere. Without it, Earth would be stripped of its atmosphere by the solar wind, and life would vanish. Yet scientists warn that large-scale nuclear exchanges could disrupt this very shield. How? Nuclear detonations release massive bursts of charged particles, creating artificial radiation belts around Earth. These belts, first observed during early nuclear tests in the 1960s, can last for years, damaging satellites, frying electronics, and altering the natural balance of Earth's magnetosphere. If World War III ignites with hundreds of nuclear explosions, the result would be an artificial distortion of Earth's magnetic shield. The consequence would be terrifying. Weakened protection against cosmic rays, exposing not only technology but also every living organism to levels of radiation our species has never endured before. Imagine the auroras, those beautiful green and red curtains of light in the polar skies, suddenly appearing worldwide, not as a spectacle of nature, but as a sign of global catastrophe. Auroras are created when solar particles collide with Earth's magnetic field. If the magnetosphere is destabilized, auroras could stretch to the equator, glowing blood red above burning cities. It would be the sky itself screaming out the damage we caused. But there's another layer. Thousands of satellites now orbit Earth, forming constellations like SpaceX's Starlink. These are not just tools for internet access, they are the backbone of global communication, finance, and even military defense. In a World War III scenario, these constellations would be the first casualties. Anti-satellite missiles, high-powered lasers, and even cyber attacks could wipe out Starlink and other constellations in hours. The destruction of these constellations would create more than just internet blackouts. Each destroyed satellite adds to the orbital debris problem, fueling the Kessler syndrome mentioned before. But now, picture this. Tens of thousands of satellites colliding and fragmenting at once. The result would be a glittering ring of artificial shrapnel encircling Earth, a man-made asteroid belt, glowing faintly in the sunlight. From a distance, Earth would look like a wounded world wrapped in a halo of death. Astronomers warn that such a ring could block not only future rocket launches, but also scientific observations. Telescopes like Hubble or the James Webb rely on clear, stable orbits. A debris belt would obscure observations, scattering light, and making it nearly impossible to study the universe. World War III in this way could blind humanity's eyes to the cosmos. But what about asteroids? For decades, scientists have built plans to defend Earth from asteroid impacts. Programs like NASA's DART mission showed us that humanity can deflect asteroids. Yet these programs require cooperation, international collaboration, constant monitoring, and advanced technology. In a global war, those systems collapse. If a massive asteroid approaches Earth during or after World War III, humanity might not even see it coming. Imagine the irony. While nations destroy each other, the real cosmic threat could strike, wiping out what little remains. This possibility raises a haunting question. How many civilizations in the universe have followed the same path? The famous Fermi paradox asks, where is everyone? If intelligent life is common, why don't we see signs of it? Some scientists propose the Great Filter, a stage of self-destruction that civilizations cannot pass. Nuclear war could be humanity's great filter. Perhaps alien civilizations also discovered nuclear power, unleashed war, and destroyed themselves before reaching the stars. If so, World War III would not just be our tragedy, it would be confirmation that the Great Filter is real, and that the universe is far lonelier than we imagined. And yet, aliens, if they exist, might see our destruction. Nuclear detonations release bursts of gamma rays, detectable across interstellar distances. Advanced civilizations with sensitive instruments could observe Earth glowing unnaturally in gamma radiation. To them, it would be unmistakable. A species destroying itself. Our war would not be private, it would be broadcast across the galaxy. And perhaps, in distant star systems, alien scientists would shake their heads and mark Earth as just another failed civilization. But there's something even darker to consider. Nuclear detonations not only disrupt Earth systems, they also release radioactive particles that can escape into space. These particles could contaminate near-Earth space, poisoning the environment for decades. Spacecraft traveling through low Earth orbit could pass through invisible clouds of radioactive dust, exposing astronauts to lethal doses. Colonies on the Moon or Mars, if they exist in the future, might detect radiation trails stretching from Earth like scars written across the solar system. What about climate? We've already discussed nuclear winter, but the reality goes further. Nuclear blasts create shockwaves that disturb the upper atmosphere, disrupting the jet streams that carry heat across the globe. If these jet streams collapse, entire regions could freeze while others burn. Crops would fail not just from lack of sunlight but from chaotic weather. Rainfall patterns could vanish. Rivers could dry up. This would create mass migrations, wars for survival, and the collapse of civilization long before radiation or direct blasts kill us. NASA climate scientists warn that even a limited nuclear war, say between two countries, could cool Earth's surface by several degrees for decades. But a full-scale World War III? It could cool Earth so drastically that glaciers would advance, oceans would shift, and ecosystems would collapse into mass extinction. Humanity would be left clinging to survival in scattered pockets, while Earth transformed into a frozen radioactive grave. And still, the cosmos would take notice. Astronomers studying exoplanets often search for technosignatures, signals of intelligent life. One possible technosignature is pollution. If aliens looked at Earth after World War III, they might see a sudden spike in atmospheric carbon, soot, and radioactive isotopes. To them, this would be proof that Earth once hosted an advanced civilization that suddenly destroyed itself. We would become a cautionary tale written in starlight, another ghost planet in the galaxy's long history. Before I take you deeper, let me remind you this is Starsky Science, and if you haven't yet subscribed, now is the time. By subscribing, you're not just joining a channel, you're joining a mission to explore the biggest questions of existence. Don't miss what's coming next, because the story of war, space, and survival only grows more terrifying from here. Now let's turn to one of the most overlooked consequences: time itself. Nuclear war could shift the very rotation of Earth. Scientists know that earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and even large storms can subtly alter Earth's spin. A nuclear exchange with hundreds of simultaneous detonations could redistribute mass on a massive scale. Melting ice caps, flooding coastlines, and collapsing crustal structures could speed up or slow down Earth's rotation by fractions of a second. That may sound small, but it would throw off atomic clocks, satellite navigation, and even the length of our days. Imagine living in a world where time itself feels broken. And then there's psychology. The human mind is tuned to hope, to believe in survival. But after World War III, survivors would look up at a sky filled with debris, red auroras, and dimmed sunlight. Space, the symbol of wonder and exploration, would become a symbol of loss. Generations of children might grow up fearing the sky, associating it with death and destruction. Our dream of reaching the stars would vanish, not because it's impossible, but because we no longer believe in it. In essence, World War III is not just the end of nations. It is the end of humanity's cosmic destiny. It is the cutting of a thread that connects us to the universe. Once severed, it cannot be repaired. When we talk about war changing the world, we must first look back at the last global conflict, World War II. It was the deadliest war in human history, with over 70 million lives lost, entire cities reduced to ash, and a planet left scarred both physically and psychologically. Yet, even as horrific as it was, World War II was fought with technology far less powerful than what we possess today. Consider Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In August 1945, 2 atomic bombs, Little Boy and Fat Man, were dropped on Japan. Each bomb destroyed a city in seconds. The intense heat, radiation, and shockwave killed tens of thousands instantly, while many more suffered from radiation sickness for years. The mushroom clouds that rose into the sky became symbols of human self-destruction. But here's the terrifying truth. Those bombs were mere firecrackers compared to the nuclear weapons stockpiled today. Modern thermonuclear weapons are thousands of times more powerful, capable of obliterating entire regions, not just cities. World War II destroyed infrastructure, economies, and ecosystems. Rivers were poisoned with chemicals, forests were flattened, and landscapes across Europe and Asia still bear scars of bombings. Even today, unexploded bombs are discovered in German soil, silent reminders of destruction. But as catastrophic as it was, Earth healed. Nature grew back. Humanity rebuilt. Now imagine World War III. Unlike the concentrated destruction of World War II, this war would not leave room for healing. Instead of 2 nuclear bombs, thousands could be launched within hours. Entire continents could be reduced to radioactive wastelands. Skies filled with soot would block the sun for decades, triggering a nuclear winter far more devastating than anything the planet has seen before. The ecosystems destroyed in World War II, forests, rivers, wildlife, eventually found ways to recover. But World War III could push ecosystems beyond recovery. Nuclear firestorms would inject black carbon into the stratosphere, cooling Earth by several degrees. Crops would fail not just for one season but for decades. Forests could die off, Oceans could acidify and entire species would vanish. Humans, if they survived at all, would face famine, radiation sickness, and a world that no longer sustains life. Scientists describe this as an extinction-level event. Not extinction in the slow geological sense, but rapid, brutal, and final. In World War II, humanity suffered but endured. In World War III, humanity may end. But the tragedy doesn't stop with us. Our destruction would ripple into the universe itself. How? Because humanity is not just another species on Earth. We are the only species, as far as we know, capable of looking at the stars, asking questions, and reaching beyond our home planet. We built telescopes, sent probes like Voyager and Pioneer into interstellar space, and dreamed of walking on Mars. If we vanish, the universe loses its only known witness. Carl Sagan once said, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." If humanity disappears in nuclear fire, the cosmos loses that mirror. The story of intelligent life on Earth ends, not with discovery but with silence. Think about Voyager 1, now more than 14 billion miles away, carrying the golden record. A message of music, greetings, and knowledge for any alien civilization that might find it. That spacecraft continues its lonely journey through interstellar space. But if World War III destroys humanity, Voyager's message becomes a tombstone. Aliens may one day find it, only to learn of a species that once dreamed of the stars but extinguished itself before becoming multiplanetary. Let's return briefly to the destruction of World War II. Cities like Dresden were incinerated in firestorms so hot they created hurricane-like winds. London was bombed night after night, forcing civilians to live underground. Across Asia, millions were killed in massacres and famines triggered by war. Yet humanity emerged. The war ended. Nations rebuilt, created the United Nations, and vowed never to repeat such destruction. But with all those promises, the nuclear arms race began. Instead of destroying nuclear weapons, nations built tens of thousands more. The Cold War came close to nuclear Armageddon more than once. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 was a moment when just one wrong move could have triggered a global nuclear war. We were lucky then. But luck is not a strategy. World War III would be different. Unlike World War II, which damaged parts of Earth, this war would damage Earth itself as a living system. Nuclear winter would collapse agriculture. Electromagnetic pulses would wipe out the global internet. Orbital debris would trap humanity on Earth for centuries. Radioactive fallout would poison soil, rivers, and even the oceans. The ozone layer could vanish, exposing survivors to deadly ultraviolet radiation. And then the universe would notice. Gamma rays from nuclear detonations would pulse outward into space, detectable by alien civilizations light years away. They would see the flashes and perhaps realize what happened. An intelligent species destroying itself. For them, Earth would become a cautionary tale. For us, it would be the end. The extinction of humanity through World War III would not only end our species, but could potentially erase the only known chance for intelligence in this corner of the universe. Earth has been alive for billions of years. Dinosaurs ruled for 160 million years but never built telescopes. Humanity, in less than 300,000 years, has reached space. If we vanish, who knows how long it will take for intelligence to rise again? 1,000,000 years? 10 million? Perhaps never. This is the true cosmic cost of war. World War II destroyed lives, cities, and nations. World War III could destroy our future, our destiny, our place in the cosmos. It could silence humanity forever. And here's a chilling thought. If humanity vanishes, so does everything we've ever created. Our music, our literature, our science, our art, all gone. The universe will never again hear Beethoven, Shakespeare, or the laughter of children. The stars will never again be studied through human eyes. The silence that follows will not just be the silence of Earth, but the silence of the universe itself, deprived of one of its most precious voices. Before I go further, let me pause for a moment to remind you this is Starsky Science. If you're with me so far, make sure to subscribe. It helps us keep asking these hard, profound questions and sharing them with the world. Knowledge is humanity's only true shield against destruction. Subscribe now and join our mission to think beyond the Earth, beyond war, and into the future of the cosmos. But let's imagine the universe after us. If World War III happens and humanity goes extinct, Earth will continue to orbit the sun. The planet will recover slowly. Forests will regrow over ruins. Radiation will fade over millennia, and new species will evolve. But none of them will look up and wonder about the stars. None of them will build rockets. None of them will leave Earth. Humanity's spark of curiosity, the one thing that connects us to the cosmos, will be gone. World War II was the greatest destruction humanity had ever faced, but it was survivable. World War May 3rd not be. And if it happens, it won't just be the end of nations. It will be the end of human history in the universe. There is one force that has always shaped life on Earth, our sun. Its light feeds our crops, drives our climate, and sustains every ecosystem. But if World War III were to erupt, even the sun itself would interact differently with our damaged planet. Nuclear explosions would send countless particles into the atmosphere, destroying the ozone layer that protects us from solar radiation. Without this shield, the sun's rays would turn from life-giving to life-threatening. Ultraviolet radiation would scorch the surface, blind survivors, and sterilize crops. The very star that once nurtured us would now become an executioner. And then there's the magnetosphere. Normally, Earth's magnetic field deflects the charged particles of solar storms. But if war disrupts the magnetic shield, as scientists fear, solar flares could directly strike our planet. These flares, massive eruptions from the sun, are capable of shutting down power grids and frying satellites even in peacetime. Imagine their effect on a planet already crippled by nuclear war. Cities without power would never see light again. Survivors would look up and see red auroras stretching across the sky, not knowing whether it was the sun or the war itself burning them alive. Deep space missions would suffer too. Humanity has sent probes like Voyager, New Horizons, and Pioneer into the cosmos, silent ambassadors of our existence. These spacecraft rely on signals from Earth to guide them. If war destroys communication systems, those probes will drift, mute, and forgotten across the galaxy. The golden records on Voyager, carrying our music and voices, would continue their journey, but without us, they become messages from ghosts. Astronomers often talk about the cosmic background noise of Earth. Our radio and television broadcasts leak into space, traveling at the speed of light. For nearly a century, Earth has been shouting into the cosmos, commercials, music, news, science, and laughter. But if World War III wipes us out, those signals will eventually fade. Future alien civilizations listening across the stars would hear our voices suddenly stop, replaced by eternal silence. They may wonder, what happened to Earth? Why did the transmissions end so abruptly? And this brings us to a haunting question for you, the viewers. Backhand index pointing right. Do you think humanity will destroy itself before it ever reaches another star? Or will we somehow survive our own madness? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think, because this isn't just theory. Scientists have studied how other planets reflect their history. Mars, for example, may once have had oceans and an atmosphere, but something went wrong. Some scientists believe solar storms stripped it bare after it lost its magnetic field. Now Mars is a cold, dead desert. If World War III destabilizes Earth's shield, could we end up like Mars, alive today but dead tomorrow? Meanwhile, the sun continues to evolve. In 5 billion years, it will expand into a red giant and consume Earth. That's nature's timeline. But World War III could accelerate our end, pulling forward the clock by billions of years. Instead of fading under the natural life cycle of stars, humanity could vanish instantly in fire of its own making. Think also of how alien civilizations might view this. If they detect the flashes of our nuclear detonations and then notice Earth falling silent, they might conclude we succumb to the Great Filter, the universal barrier that stops civilizations from going interstellar. Perhaps they would add Earth to the long list of failures they've seen before. A bright spark extinguished too soon. And yet, there is one more devastating layer: the legacy of human knowledge. If war erases us, everything we've discovered, the laws of physics, the wonders of the universe, the secrets of DNA could be lost. Our digital records, printed books, and servers would decay. Radiation, weather, and time would erase them. In just a few thousand years, it might be as though humanity never existed at all. Before I take you further, let me remind you, this is Starsky Science. If this perspective has opened your eyes to just how fragile our future is, please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to like this video. It helps us bring these powerful, fact-based documentaries to more people around the world. Now imagine this. Centuries after our extinction, Aliens exploring our solar system find only ruins. They might land on the moon and discover the footprints of Apollo astronauts, perfectly preserved in lunar dust. But there would be no humans left to explain them. Earth would be green again, filled with forests and oceans, but without intelligence. Our monuments, satellites, and cities would crumble, and the only evidence of our existence would be fragments, shards of technology buried in rock. World War II gave us scars, but we healed. World War III, however, could erase us. Not just our cities, not just our nations, but our very story in the universe. And here lies the ultimate question. Will we allow ourselves to vanish into silence, or will we fight not against each other, but for the survival of our species among the stars? When we imagine the aftermath of World War III, we often focus on the immediate horror. The cities in ruins, the skies turned black, and the silence of a planet that once echoed with human life. But let's take a step further. What happens not just to us, but to the planet, to life itself, and to the universe that will continue spinning long after we are gone? At first, the Earth would become a graveyard. Fires would rage uncontrolled for months, feeding on forests, cities, and industrial complexes. Smoke would circle the globe, turning day into night. The temperature would plummet, what scientists call nuclear winter. Crops would fail everywhere, animals would starve, and ecosystems would collapse. But time has a strange way of healing. Decades after the war, radiation would fade, the air would clear, and green shoots would begin to reclaim the land. Nature, resilient as always, would rise from the ashes. Wolves, bears, and wild horses might roam where humans once built skyscrapers. Forests would reclaim highways, rivers would wash over collapsed bridges, and coral reefs would grow where naval fleets sank. If you want a glimpse of this future, you don't need to look far. Consider Chernobyl. After the nuclear disaster in 1986, people abandoned entire cities. Today, wild boars, deer, wolves, and even bears thrive there. Life adapted, and in the absence of humans, it flourished. The same could happen on a global scale if humanity vanished after World War III. But here's the haunting truth. While Earth would heal, humanity's voice in the cosmos would be silenced. The universe does not weep for civilizations. Stars will still be born, galaxies will still spin, and black holes will still devour matter at the edge of time. Our war, no matter how devastating, would not ripple across the infinite universe in a lasting way. Instead, it would be as though a spark simply blinked out. One more civilization lost to the endless silence of space. Let's pause here and think about something deeper. If World War II scarred humanity but left us alive, then World War III would not just scar us, it could erase us. And if we are erased, what does that mean for the grand story of the universe? We often ask if life exists elsewhere in the cosmos. If it does, maybe those civilizations face their own wars. Maybe some of them have already destroyed themselves. What if the universe is filled with silent worlds, each once alive but now dead because of wars like the one we threaten to unleash? Perhaps the great filter isn't asteroids or supernovae, but self-destruction. And yet, there remains a possibility, tiny, fragile but real, that not all of humanity would vanish. In hidden places, underground bunkers, isolated islands, or orbiting space stations, small groups could survive. They would become the last fragments of our story. But survival would not be easy. With food supplies dwindling, technology broken, and communication cut off, rebuilding civilization would be almost impossible. These survivors might live for generations, but eventually, without global support, their numbers would shrink. One by one, their lights would go out until Earth fell silent again. If, however, a handful escaped to the stars, colonies on the Moon or Mars, for example, then the story could continue. Imagine a small human settlement on Mars, hearing the echoes of Earth's destruction from across space. They would know they were the last, the final chapter of billions of years of evolution. And their mission would no longer be exploration. It would be survival. The question is, would they succeed? Or would they too fade, leaving only silence behind? Meanwhile, the universe would not pause. Stars would continue to ignite in clouds of gas, galaxies would collide in spectacular dances, and black holes would warp time itself. In the grand scale of things, World War III, even the destruction of all humanity, would not disturb the cosmos. To the universe, our existence is but a flicker. But to us, that flicker is everything. It is art, music, laughter, love, science, dreams, all the beauty we have ever known. And if World War III destroys it, then that beauty will vanish forever. Think of the Earth in the far future without humans. Our monuments, our greatest achievements, will crumble into dust. The Great Wall of China will fall to the winds. The pyramids will erode into the sand. Our tallest skyscrapers will collapse into rubble. In 10,000 years, nature will hide the last traces of us. In 1,000,000 years, even the ruins will be gone. If another species one day evolves intelligence on Earth, they might find fragments of our satellites orbiting above, or traces of plastic buried deep in the soil. They may wonder about us, just as we wonder about the lost civilizations of the past. But they will never know our full story. And if no species ever rises again, then the Earth will simply return to being what it was for billions of years before us. A world of forests, oceans, mountains, and skies, beautiful but silent. This is the tragedy of World War III. It is not just about bombs and battles. It is about the erasure of memory, the destruction of potential, and the silencing of an entire voice in the cosmic choir. And yet, as you listen to this now, that future has not been written. Humanity still exists. We still have the choice to avoid the path of destruction. But that choice is fragile and the clock is ticking. What does it truly mean if humanity destroys itself? On one level, it's a biological event, just another species vanishing into the long record of Earth's extinctions. Dinosaurs ruled for 165 million years, only to vanish in the wake of a cosmic impact. Countless other species have risen and fallen, their stories buried in the rocks. If World War III ends humanity, then in that sense we're not unique. We too would become just another chapter in Earth's long history of loss. But on another level, we are different. Unlike the dinosaurs, we are aware. We understand our fragility. We map the stars, split the atom, decode the genome, and ask questions about existence itself. Our disappearance would not just be the loss of a species, it would be the silencing of awareness, of consciousness that has struggled for billions of years to emerge from dust and chaos. Think about this. In all the vastness of the universe, consciousness may be unimaginably rare. Perhaps we are the only ones who can reflect on the stars, the only ones who can wonder about the origin of the cosmos. If so, then our extinction in a war of our own making would not just be tragic, it would be cosmic irony. The universe gave rise to beings who could understand it, only for those beings to obliterate themselves in fire. Now consider the Fermi paradox, the haunting question of why we have not detected intelligent life elsewhere. One answer is that advanced civilizations inevitably destroy themselves before spreading to the stars. War, greed, environmental collapse. These may be the true walls that no species can climb over. If World War III destroys us, we may simply be fulfilling a pattern written into the nature of intelligence. Perhaps the very act of becoming advanced carries within it the seeds of self-destruction. And if that's true, then maybe the universe is silent not because it is empty, but because it is filled with tombs, planets where life once flourished, only to burn itself away in its own wars. But let's turn to another question. What happens to meaning if humanity vanishes? Science tells us the universe has no inherent purpose, it simply is. Stars are born, they burn, they die. Galaxies collide. Black holes consume. There is no plan, no script, no destiny. Meaning exists because we create it. Every poem, every equation, every song, every act of kindness, that is us giving shape to an otherwise indifferent cosmos. If we vanish, then meaning vanishes with us. The universe will continue, yes, but it will do so without witness, without memory, without reflection. The galaxies will spin, but no one will see their beauty. The stars will shine, but no one will wonder at their light. Silence will replace story. This leads us to one of the most unsettling possibilities. Perhaps the universe does not care whether we survive or perish. To it, there is no difference. To us, the difference is everything. Yet, even in the shadow of this grim possibility, there is another perspective. If World War III destroys us, maybe it is not the final end. Maybe consciousness is not unique to us. Across billions of stars in galaxies beyond number, perhaps other minds exist, or will exist in the future. If so, then our destruction would be a tragedy, but not the death of meaning itself. The universe would still echo with thought, still host beings who look up in wonder. But until we know for certain, we must face the possibility that we are alone. That this small blue planet is the only place where atoms have come together to ask why. If so, then our survival is not just about us, it is about protecting the only voice the universe may ever have. Let's look at history again. World War II nearly tore civilization apart. Over 70 million lives were lost. Cities were reduced to ash. Atomic fire was unleashed for the first time. And yet humanity continued. We rebuilt, we created, we even reached space within 2 decades of the war's end. That resilience is real. But World War III would not be the same. With thousands of nuclear weapons, entire continents would vanish. The very systems we rely on for survival, climate, food, ecosystems would collapse. There may be no second chance. So here is the haunting question. Are we wise enough to prevent our own destruction? Or are we simply another species destined to vanish? The silence of the universe offers no answer. But perhaps that silence is itself a warning. Because if we do not learn to master ourselves, then all of our science, our art, our dreams, and our hopes may end in the fire we created. And the universe, vast and indifferent, will simply move on without us. The end of the world may not stop at Earth. World War III could be more than a human tragedy. It could be the silencing of a planet's voice in the universe. And when we step back to see the bigger picture, the weight of that possibility is almost unbearable. We are not just talking about bombs falling on cities or battles fought on the ground. We are talking about the erasure of billions of years of evolution, the collapse of civilizations, and the quieting of minds that once dared to dream beyond the stars. Think about it. Everything that has ever lived, every thought ever imagined, every story ever told has led to this fragile moment. And now it all hangs on a knife's edge. If World War III happens, Earth could become unrecognizable. The skies could turn black. Radiation could poison oceans and lands. Entire species could vanish. Humanity, once proud of its technology and power, might become only a memory buried beneath rubble and ash. The survivors, if any, would inherit a broken world, one they could barely sustain. And in the silence that followed, the Earth would simply go on spinning, indifferent to whether we remained or not. But here is the truth that cuts even deeper. The universe will not mourn us. Stars will not dim. Galaxies will not slow. Time will not pause. If we vanish, the cosmos will continue as if we never existed. Our wars, our triumphs, our losses, all of it will vanish into silence. And yet, the fact that we can imagine this fate means something extraordinary. It means we are aware, capable of shaping the path ahead. It means that destruction is not inevitable, that the same intelligence which can split the atom can also choose restraint, peace, and survival. History shows us both sides. World War II brought devastation, but from its ashes came a determination to avoid such horrors again. Out of fear of destruction, humanity created treaties, alliances, and movements for peace. We reached beyond war and touched the stars. So we stand at a crossroads. One path leads to silence, the silence of extinction. The other leads to survival, exploration, and a chance to carry our story into the wider cosmos. The silence of the universe may be a warning. Perhaps countless civilizations before us reached this very point and chose wrong. Perhaps that is why we see no one else out there. Their voices have already been silenced. But we still have time. We still have a choice. The universe may be vast, indifferent, and eternal, but within it lies our tiny spark, the spark of Earth, the spark of humanity. And if we guard it, if we protect it, if we learn from our past, then maybe one day that spark will grow into something greater, something the universe will never forget. Because in the end, the greatest war is not between nations. It is between destruction and survival, between silence and story, between oblivion and eternity. And if we choose survival, if we choose to rise above the fire, then perhaps, just perhaps, World War III will never come. But if it does, then the universe will carry on without us. The choice is ours. The time is now. And the universe is watching. The fate of humanity may rest on the choices we make today. Will our story end in fire and silence, or will we carry it beyond the stars? The answer isn't written yet. It belongs to us. If this video made you think about the future in a way you never have before, let us know in the comments. Do you believe humanity can avoid World War III? Or is destruction already written in our destiny? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found this story powerful, don't forget to like this video. It helps us reach more curious minds. For more deep explorations of the cosmos, science, and the mysteries that surround us, Make sure to subscribe to Starsky Science. Together we'll keep asking the questions that matter, and maybe, just maybe, help keep our spark alive.